welcome to 5 minutes in the shed. As you can see by the length of my hair, I seriously need a barber. It's been quite a long time since the last time I did a video. Couple of reasons for that. Number one, I've been doing boring stuff. So actually I've been painting mudguards, petrol tanks, things like that, and just sanding down layers of primer is the most dull thing you can possibly video. Alright, so I haven't done that. I'll show you those parts in a little bit. The other reason that I haven't done a video for a while is because I'm in kind of divorce avoidance mode and I'm fitting an ensuite bathroom. So, you know, you got to do what you got to do. So, yeah, so the bike's been sat here for a while. I've realised that the parts I was waiting for the engine, I didn't order them. They were in the basket, didn't order them. So I've still got to wait for those. Some other parts came, things like HT leads, petrol taps, fuel line filters, that kind of stuff, and new chain. Right, so I've got loads of things to bolt on. So I think the first thing we'll do is we'll put the chain on. Right then, so I was going to talk about the chain. However, this is your first look at the paint. Right, so got a nicely painted rear mudguard, and I started with the mudguard because I needed the mudguard on because, you know, I need to know how much space I've got for electric stuff and make brackets for it and things like that. So I needed that on. So I painted that. My plan was to maybe change it for something a bit more sort of trialsy, scramblery, but I'm undecided yet, right? So I painted the standard mudguard. I painted the front mudguard as well, which goes, it's a low level one for a street scrambler, it stays down here. And I've also painted the petrol tank. The petrol tank that I've been talking to you about for months and months and months. It's come up really nice. Inside's all clean now. Got a nice new tap on it, which is lovely. Polished the cap, so that's on there. It gives you a sense of what the bike's going to look like. Now at the moment, with all this kind of gear on it, it looks like a street scrambler, right? Like a 70s street scrambler. Yeah, it's got tight fitting mudguard, tight fit, you know, steel mudguard, steel tank. I have got a plan in my head for an alloy competition tank, high level mudguard and things like that, but unless you're going to do it all, it kind of looks odd. So I'm doing this first, and then I'm going to create an upgrade kit, I think, but I'll get back to you on that. So, drive chain. You might remember I've got a standard front sprocket on the Triumph engine, which is 5/8 wide, and then I've got a BSA rear sprocket, which is 3/8 wide. Now the old sprocket on the front was a 3/8 one, and it was knackered, so I put a new Triumph one, a standard Triumph one, which is 5/8, which is too wide, right? So the chain size is 530, or yeah, 5 to I don't know the metric size. Anyway, the pitch is the same, width is wrong, right? So I had a choice. I could either change one of the sprockets, or maybe machine the front one down, or, you know, I had to do something. So I bought a bigger chain, right? So I've got a chain of both sizes now. Now, talking to a guy on one of the forums who's building a very similar bike, he's just stumbled across this issue as well. We're both at about that same sort of phase of build. So what he's going to do, he's going to machine the front sprocket down and add lightness, and put the 3/8 chain on it rather than the 5/8 chain, which sounds pretty good. And the reason he's doing that is because with a 5/8 chain on a 3/8 sprocket, it tends to pitch and wobble a little bit, and it wears out one side of the sprocket. Now, I've never ridden this bike, right? So I don't know if the gearing's any good. If the gearing's wrong, then I'll be buying sprockets anyway. So I'm going to try it with the wider chain on, because I don't really care if I wear this sprocket out, because I might need to change it to alter the gearing anyway. I don't know, we'll see. That's part of the testing phase, beta testing, field evaluation unit when I'm finished. Right, so got a new chain. I didn't buy a chain for this bike because this bike doesn't exist because it's hybrid. So I just bought a standard off-the-shelf chain, which is obviously bound to be too long. Right, so I fed it through, fits quite nice. So here's the chain. It's on the shortest setting for the swinging arm, which is the tightest, loosest chain setting. I can't quite get that extra tooth, so it goes back there. And looking at that, I need to take off 2 complete links. Right, so I'll take those links off now, and then we can fit the chain properly. Okay, that was nice. Nice new shiny chain. Everything's nice and soft and easy to drift out and stuff. Knock the pin out with a tool. Got a couple of links there left over. Might degrease this just to make a nice keychain, you know, key ring for the kids or something. So the chain's there, right length, ready to go. So yeah, I think we'll cue the music and fit the chain. Right, chain's on. Tension's okay, maybe a little bit loose, and it will loosen up pretty quickly being a new chain, so I might have to take it another notch. However, it's all on, it's all done, and I think now I can put on my chain guard. So, another little job. Right then, so chain guard's on, looks pretty good, clears the chain and everything. What I was really thinking was a nice bespoke aluminium one that I made myself, you know, to add lightness. But I'm putting that on hold along with the lightweight motocross kit option that I'm working on. So standard BSA equipment, standard chain guard, looks alright. I was kind of torn whether I went for silver to match the bike or whether I went for black, but I don't really like it, so I don't want to make a big deal about it, so I made it black, so it kind of disappears. Anyway, that's the chain all done. I can't put the brake rod on yet because I haven't got the cover on this side of the engine yet, so that'll have to wait. Things that I've got to bolt on. Right, I've got myself some handlebar grips, and I've also got shiny new levers. They're quite shiny, but I'm looking at them thinking I could probably make them shinier if I polished them. I think I'll just put them on. I'm not going to polish them, right? So because they're shiny anyway, right? So yeah, I'm going to put these on. So to do that, I'll need to drop the stand, and bit of a finishing job, really, isn't it? Bit of a finishing job, but I've got them on the side, they're kicking round, they should be on the bike, so I'm going to do that now. Okay, so welcome to the cockpit. That's the cockpit of the bike there. So petrol, oil, yokes. Now obviously I need new bolts on these, so they're going to be changed. I'd put the choke lever, which is this one, I'd put it originally over there. However, right, I've put it on this side now because one reason, the cable is this side, so it just runs better down there. It's not a particularly long cable, and I've got to get it to the carburetor, so that's quite nice there. I mean, you only use it briefly anyway. So I've got my quick action throttle, which is pretty cool. So that's going to shoot the throttle cable down there. I've got my front brake, which is like a Doherty type front brake. Let me bring you around. Oh, this is rubbish. There we go. Like a Doherty type front brake, so the adjuster's there inbuilt into it, which is nice. And we've got matching clutch lever there, with the adjuster here, which is nice. These grips, right? These are super grip grips. Now, these are little bit modern, right? But I really like them, and I find them very comfy. So that's what I'm having. So yeah, there you go. That's my excuse. You may have seen me squirt something in them when I was putting them on. In the old days, we used to spray hairspray in, because you put hairspray in, it slides on wet, and then it turns into like a glue and sticks them on. What I find is really good is if you just squirt brake cleaner in, and the brake cleaner takes all the oils and release agent off the moulding that was on the rubber, so it makes it pretty grippy, and it's wet for a brief second, so you can slide it on, and then it's not going anywhere after that. So you know, this one went on pretty easy, and as you can see, it's not going anywhere now. So that's the cockpit. So what else do I need on there? Speedo. I need speedo. That needs a bracket, so that'll be a bracket episode. Okay, what are we doing next? So next, I think we need brackets. We do need brackets. We need a bracket for the coil. So I've got to mount this ignition coil under here, I think is where I'm going to put it. So that's going to go under there. That's why the tank's on, because I need to measure up what room I've got around the tank. So I think a bracket for that's next. Once we've got a bracket for that, then I need a bracket for more electrical stuff, which is why I've taken the battery tray out of the inside here, because I need to figure out what real estate we've got in this area and where we can mount all the various electronics. So yeah, coil first. Okay, so bracket time. We've got the coil here, and what I need is a kind of clamp that goes around the coil and holds the coil, kind of like this. Right now, when I took it off, it had a Jubilee clip around it, which works perfectly fine, right? But looks a bit shit. So we can do better than that. So I'm going to make a nice clamp that goes around, quite a wide one, to relieve the pressure. Because you don't want to put loads of pressure on one point and point load it, because it will crush the outer casing into the coil, which would be bad. Right, so I'm going to make a bracket that's about a third of the length of that. And the reason I'm going to do it as a third of the length is because thirds look good. Right, if you look at car design and stuff like that, if you can divide something into three, it's just aesthetically pleasing to the eye, right? So a third of the width of third of the length should look pretty good, right? So, so let's have a look how long it is. So it is so about 85 mil long. Well, we're taking the end as well. Taking the end. Yeah, so well, if it's a 90, because the maths is easy then. So 369. What I want is a 30 mil bracket for the middle, which will be about a third of it, which will look sweet. And I need to be able to put two fixings in it, alright, like that. So that actually works out really nice. 30 mil. So 30 mil bracket, and the way it's going to work is we're going to, the coil sort of goes like this, like that, and then it's going to be a band that comes around the coil like that, and it's going to come over, and then right angle up in with a tab like that, and then the other side will come round and come up straight to the same point there, and then we're going to have 2 bolts there, and I'm going to make it a little bit too small so there's a little bit of clamping force on the screws, and that should hold it nice and tight. Right, so that's my design. I know it's going to be 30mm that way, like that. So I need to work out the circumference of that and how much tab I want to put on the end of it, and work out the length, and then I can mark out my sheet of quite bendy aluminium. It's quite thin aluminium, this is, because I want it to be easily manoeuvred around the coil. So it's got some thin sheet aluminium. I've got 30mm width, so I can mark that out. Then I need the length. Then I need to figure out how to put the bends, and then I've got to find something about the same sort of size as that to wrap it round to make it. So there we go, bracket time. Right then, so I've got the preliminary bracket cut out and made. A little bit fiddly to do, but it's alright. So it's the rough shape, it's the rough dimensions and everything. These ends are a little bit long, I need to tidy those up. So that's going to go on there like that. Bolts will go through here and pinch that up, and then pretty tight. It's good, it's a big surface area, so you know you haven't got to hold it too tight. Right then, so what I'm going to use is these square nuts, right? Because when you put these square nuts on here, and then get a bolt with square nuts, you can put that in there like that, and when you tighten it up, you don't need to put a spanner on the other side because they'll hold themselves. That's the plan anyway. Yeah, when that's all straightened up like that, no spanner on the back. Very nice. So you can just tighten that up. That's my plan. Whether it will work or not, we don't know. We'll soon find out. So I'll put those 2 in. There we go. And then, oh look, it's too tight already. Right, yeah, I'll go halfway down that, like that, and then bit of posi drive action, and that should pull it up quite well like that. Almost spins that one, does. Oh, not bad, not bad. So yeah, pulled up tight. There we go. And that ain't going nowhere. Great stuff. So got a bracket. So now I need to do a bit of finesse work. I'm gonna maybe trim these down a little bit, round them off. Smooth it all up a bit, run a needle file over the edge, make it nice and smooth, and obviously polish it. So that's the next little job. When I've finished that, then hang on a minute, what am I thinking? Yeah, so that has got to go on to, like that, it will go onto the other bracket which I've got to make for the top bit, right? Because the other bracket is on the side, yeah, that's right. So that will go in there and go in there. So it'll be something like bracket like that, and that will hang on the outside of the bracket like that. That's the plan. Underneath the bike, and underneath it'd be nice because it'd be hanging down. Right, so that's phase 1. Actually, I better make the other bracket first and see how that all relates to it, otherwise it might all go wrong. So I'll make a CAD template for the other one. I'll see how we get on. Right. Right, so I've cut out the rough piece of quite thick aluminium plate that I want to make this bracket out of, which is down here. I don't want to break them back, so I'm just going to put the plate back up in the air. So it's looking at the holes. Looking at the holes where the bracket's going to go, which is here, right? Oh, let me just check. You can see it? Yeah, you can see that, right? Here, one of them's further outboard than the other one. Now, I don't want my bracket being on the piss because it looked bad. Right, so I've marked this up like that, and the bracket's going to go like that. Like that, and that's going to be dead in line with the bike, so it should look pretty sweet. And then the coil here is going to go lined up. The coil here is going to go on like that, or somewhere there. So that's the plan. So I've done a rough cut on this. Got it roughly cut out. I've radiused the edges so it looks all nice. So I've got to cut those. I was going to hacksaw this, right? But then I thought to myself, you know what? That TV commercial for Evolution chop saws said you can cut through nails and anything. So I've got my chop saw outside, which I've been cutting wood on. Straight through it. Fantastic. What a tool. Anyway, yeah, so cut that out rough shape, and I'll do the rest by hand. So I'm going to drop some holes in it first to match these holes so I can get it all lined up. Then line up where the clamp on the coil is going to be and put that all together. Should be pretty good. Alright, so I haven't polished anything yet. However, I have done like a bit of a dry build of the bracket. So there's the bracket there, runs down this side, looks pretty good. Nice and parallel with the bike. The coil is sitting there, which is quite nice, so it will get a little bit of cool airflow going across it. Let's see if I can bring you around this side. Looks pretty good there, sitting in there, nice spot. So, yeah, looking pretty good. I think I'll go down here. You can see how that sort of all clamps on. Oh, the bolts are all crappy, and I might replace those. But then the HT wire goes straight between the two head steady brackets, which is quite nice. Which means this can be kind of up, out of the way, under the tank, and the low tension can run down the spine of the frame as well and go onto the primary coil, which is cool. So yeah, happy with that. One more bracket done. Bracket wise. Ooh, right. Okay, so next job then is battery, rectifier, all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that all looks later. Actually, that's probably all I'm going to have time for today. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.